This video should be on procrastination because that's what I've done all week trying to film this video. So typical Josh fashion. But we're going to be talking about burnout, how burnout affects me as a neurodivergent person, especially on the ADHD sphere. But it may also apply to people that are probably different types of neurodivergent, maybe even people that aren't neurodivergent. So strap yourselves in, let's go for a ride. So I think what I want to talk about first is what I see burnout as being. So burnout to me is basically the opposite of a breakdown. So it's kind of internalized, it's not outward focused, it's basically feeling like a slump, but something that keeps going on and on and on and on and on. And there's a cockatoo that's fighting with me at the moment. So I can't win with that. So I've decided to go for a walk very, very, very early in the morning, and I really didn't take into consideration, I live in pretty much a wildlife conservation. So I'm being attacked by grass parrots. I can see crimson rosellas, I can see eastern rosellas, king parrots, cockatoos. There was a kookaburra earlier, and probably a lot of people won't know what I'm talking about, but you'll just have to go back and maybe just Google them, because I won't have the ability or the brain power to flash them up on the screen. But going back to burnout, because I don't want to go on a side quest after a side quest. So to say that I'm perpetually burnt out would probably be an understatement, right? So it's a lot of different factors that burn me out. Primarily, I think, and like I said, it's all shooting from the hip here. I'm not a professional in any capacity, and I'm not diagnosing anyone else, but I'm just kind of explaining my my situation and I suppose my observations. If that's what you're into, good. But before we get onto that, and I wanted to kind of do a little bit of a divergence, but I have been reading a lot of the comments on previous videos, and thank you very much. And what I've kind of coming to realize is that I suppose when I originally started doing these videos, I wanted them to be more of a window. What I'm finding from a lot of the comments, and by all means put it in the comment section below if anything of this resonates with you, is it's more of a mirror. A lot of the things that I've been saying is kind of resonating with a lot of people. If you went back to my first video, I used to thought I was unique in the sense of special, in the sense of not very, not in a positive light. So just had to stop the video there because I had I suppose my arch nemesis, he's back. So I tried to film this video a long time up along the path. It's about a 5 kilometre path, just say 3 miles. I'm not too sure if that's accurate, but we'll roll with that. Found numerous spots because of obviously the light and the sun, so I had to kind of get to the shaded areas. And my arch nemesis, this little old man, I'm sure he's lovely, but he's going to be called my arch nemesis. Maybe it might have been the octopus in disguise. It could be onto something there. So he was probably about 4 times my age. And if for those that have been watching me for a while, they know I've just turned 88. And he was shuffling slower than my walking speed. So needless to say, he shuffled past me. And when I found this perfect spot, to film, he disappeared, like literally disappeared. There was no side streets. There was no where he could have gone. I was starting to think that I've gone a little bit more crazy than I think I am. Needless to say, I was very paranoid. Not that I think this 400-year-old man was going to jump out of the bushes and attack me, but I keep hearing shuffling of footsteps behind me. So like I said, I was literally on an open path. No one was behind me, no one was around me. I was making sure it wasn't my own feet shuffling. And he caught up to me, like literally just jumped out of a bush, probably about half a kilometre up the road. And I was like in this perfect position. So I found a position on the hill, which had some city landscape, some bush landscape, and I'll probably do that in a future video, but I wanted to put that in the background. Then he decided to do his stretches. So my arch nemesis fooled me, so I'm down here at the moment fighting with all these wild birds and all these different things, which I absolutely love. I feed them in the backyard, but nothing about that. So back on track. Apologies for today's video being everywhere. As you can see, I'm a bit disheveled and I've just woken up, well, 40 minutes ago. So burnout. So like I said, that all the comments I've been reading in the comment section have been phenomenal, and I do really, I can't stipulate enough how much I appreciate it, because it just gives me some analysis that other people like me are out there, which is sounds a bit corny, sounds a bit strange, but I suppose if you're in the same mindset as what I suppose I go through, you probably know full well where I'm coming from. So it's good to see that there's more people like me out there. I just put my foot in an ant nest again. So burnout. A lot of things get me burnt out. So I am probably like a lot of neurodivergent people. I don't really research it that much, only through conversations I've spoken to other people, and some funny ADHD songs that occasionally materialise on my Instagram page. Or feed, sorry. But yeah, so basically I have a lot of thoughts going through my head. And I have said this previously, I have said that I'm on medication and it calms them down. Not to, sway you one way or another, but so long story short, those thoughts are quite intrusive. And last week's video, I did talk about overthinking. And I suppose those thoughts are always a very entrepreneurial thought pattern behind those. Hey, let's create a hot sauce brand, which I don't even need hot sauce. I can't stand anything stronger than pepper. Let's create a coffee mug. Let's create a YouTube channel about gardening. Let's create a YouTube channel about selling your stuff on eBay. Let's create all these different things. and also a retro game channel. And my arch nemesis is just back. He's found me. I'm not going to stop. He's just going to have to put up with me. Retro game channel, an arcade channel, a podcast channel. You name it, I've gone through it. And there's a couple of, I really wish I could work out how to use this camera, and I'd flick it around and show you these parrots because they're phenomenal. Hopefully they might fly past me and attack me. He's just looking at me now. But yeah, like I said, all these thoughts go through my head. And what happens is that I think the best and easiest way to explain what triggers my burnout is that I've become very hyper-focused on these thoughts, especially if they tickle my fancy and align to my interests. I love video gaming, I love arcade gaming, I love the 80s, I love the 90s, and all these different things. So anything that comes through my brain, just drop my phone, that just comes through my brain, don't want the ants to get it, that is to do with retro arcade, retro anything. I want to do it. Like I said, my passion for that particular subject burns hotter than the sun. I can't stipulate enough that everything else around me melts away. I could be just talking to my wife, could be talking to my kids, could be screaming at the cockatoo. Then all of a sudden everything will melt away and I'll be hyper focused on this thought pattern that's popped in my head. So then what will happen is, like I said, I'll just drop everything, start researching it, start creating websites and actually buying websites, which I will talk about a future chapter about financial irresponsibility side of ADHD, which I do find, because it's very impulsive. I'll probably loop it in with impulsiveness, but it's something that I do want to talk about because I'm quite impulsive. So, but yeah, going back to the stuff. So like I said, that I'll jump on websites, I'll start registering businesses, I'll start talking to my accountant, which is probably, equally rolls his eyes and equally rubs his hands together. And all these different things that will, like I said, that will just transfix my life. It'll just take over my life. I'll start doing things. Like I said, that I bought a camera set to film, the arcade stuff. And a little bit of a side tangent, if you're 88 years old like I am, is that that modern cameras can't photograph a CRT TV. And if you don't know what a CRT TV is, it's a very old TV. One of the ones that if it fell on you, you'd probably expire. Because it was that heavy. So needless to say, you can't get it without the scan lines and all these different things. So then, because of that minor indiscretion or inconvenience, there you go, I lost interest in it. So I burn hot like the sun, and I also burn out very quickly. So yeah, that's probably the way I'll look at it. There we go, we can spin it that way. So my hyperfixations burn very, very, very hot, and to the point where it just hyperfocuses. I think it's because it's so concentrated, so much brain power goes into it. I absorb, probably about 60,000 million man hours of information in an hour. Then I lose interest because I come across a minor inconvenience that I will forget my password for a website. Then I'll just lose interest. Then, all that man hours and all those factoids and all these different things just wasted. So that's one of the reasons. And I suppose, how does it manifest? Burnout, because it's constantly having to do those monotonous tasks over and over again. I find that if I have to do something that I don't particularly want to, if it goes against every fibre of my being, in the sense I find it boring, It's something that I don't particularly like, hence it's not retro video games, hence it's not something that I enjoy. Exercise is a prime example, fighting with this video. But I suppose going back to burnout for the 19th time is that a lot of, like I said, a lot of this stuff is because of tasks that I don't like, or on the flip side, it's a lot of stuff that I do like, but I become too infatuated with it, and I become hyper-focused on it. And unfortunately, that extends to people as well. Like, and it's going to sound horrible, and I don't mean it to be this way. And please do not take offense to it. If I've spoken to you once and all disappeared and came back 6 years later or something along the lines of that, but I become overwhelmed. I'm not too sure if that's the right word to put. I'm quite extroverted. Yeah, I'll talk to anyone and all those different things, but when my brain said, hey, we've had enough of this person, I'll just forget they exist. And I can't show you my mobile phone at the moment because of the screens, but I've got like 487 unread text messages. The guy at the post office the other day when I was picking up a parcel, he's like, holy crap, read your text messages. And it's like, oh yeah, like I'll get around to them. So I don't think OCD is on my list of things that I have, but it kind of, like I said, that I will not necessarily ghost people. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm going to get back to them tomorrow. I'll read the message. Instagram, text message, family, friends, people that watch the channel, people that, that know me in a social and a work way, all these different things. I'll be polite and courteous and have a chat to them and all those different things. Then all of a sudden, hyper-focus will kick in. I'll move to something else, and then I'll forget to respond to that person. I'll leave that person on read, then go back through my messages from my Instagrams, all these different things, and go, holy crap, I haven't responded to that person yet, so I need to get back to them. But how it manifests, I suppose, the ADHD burnout, or maybe it's a neurodivergent burnout, but what I find is I become lethargic. I just want to plop, I suppose, for lack of a better term, just sit on the chair. I want to go to bed, but I can't sleep because my brain's racing a million miles an hour. I always find that burnout kind of accompanies overthinking, and I mean like a dangerous level of overthinking. It's kind of like you let your guard down, you let your resistance down, and the floodgates get open. That's what I find with burnout. For me personally, my arch nemesis is back. I think he's doing laps to annoy me. No, he's lovely. But yeah, so like I was saying, is that it becomes a dangerous level of overthinking, because what it does is that, and then all I want to do is rest and recover, but I can't because my brain is going a million miles an hour. It's almost like I'll get sick, and sometimes I do, in the sense that I might get a head cold or get a cold because my immune system's down, because I'm, burnt out probably all my energy. I wish I would really burn off my fat when I was in burnout. But the thing is, it's internalized. And like I said before in previous videos, I'm one of those weird people that overshare but don't overshare at the same time. A lot of this stuff is internalized. So I don't talk to people about it. I don't talk to my friends about it. I just talking to you. It's almost like a therapy session, this video. But it's something that I suppose that, it's internalized, and I would say that it's not so much burnout from a singular event. It's probably multiple variants of burnout, multiple layers of burnout. It's very hard to say. That the way that I'd probably articulate it for the easiest way from an ADHD perspective is that it's stitched up. It's almost like ADHD had stitched up my burnout, where, I speak to my wife about burnout because she does get burnt out from her job, probably burnt out from talking to me as well. And she'll just want to go to sleep. She'll just want to relax, sit on the chair, watch a video, and then that's what rejuvenates her and all these different things. With myself, if I sit on a chair, my body just thinks it's going into sleep mode, and it'll just fall asleep on the chair. I can't relax. That if I sit down to relax, it's okay, it must be bedtime. So I'm either 150% or I'm asleep. So, if I'm in burnout, I can't sleep. I just kind of sit on the lounge, my eyes roll back in my head and thinking about things that happened when I was 5 years old. And so this is where my brain will go to, and obviously they go from that way. But it stitches it together. So in the sense of that, I just don't have one burnout going. I have multiple burnouts going. Like I was saying before, the website, the eBay store, the YouTube channels, and all these different things, the procrastination, where I could have just got out earlier in the week, filmed this video, uploaded it, and gone from there. And now I'm leaving it to the last minute. I'm going to do some editing and go from that way. But I think it's really hard to talk about burnout. Hopefully I've covered it enough to articulate what was going through my head. But let me know in the comment section below if it made sense, if it resonated with you, what you think. And like I said previously, in other videos, it has been that sense that, people are engaging with me, saying that they're seeing a lot of it, which is good. Like I'm saying, I'm happy that I'm putting it out there, because I want to see these as kind of diaries for people that follow. Like I said, that it's not so much, it is very therapeutic for me to talk about this kind of stuff, because I'll just upload it, put it onto the internet and forget about it. But on the flip side is I want to be kind of like a journaling diary for people that come after us, for those that follow in these footsteps, in the sense that they've just been diagnosed with ADHD, or they've just been diagnosed with neurodivergence. They've always known that something's been off, or they probably haven't been diagnosed with neurodivergence, and they may be thinking that they've got neurodivergence, and they think something's off. They think they're a bit special, they're a bit unique, and this video is for them. Or maybe people that associate with them or care for them, or all those different things. I want to be journaling my diary for those that follow, and make this world a little bit easier on those people. Catch you next time. Bye.